Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Punchline Africa TV opposes any form of terrorism, and our policy is very clear. We condemn Al-Shabaab, we condemn Boko Haram, we condemn Al-Qaeda, we condemn any remnants of Al-Qaeda cells that linger on this African continent, that maim people, innocent people. All these acts are not done by a particular religion. People have just picked a religion and used it. In Kenya, in East Africa, and in Africa, we should be vigilant. That is, now we don't know. You can be very, well equipped at your doorstep or at your gate, but you don't know up in the crowd when we are moving in town, in cities, in Dar es Salaam, in Mwanza, in Kampala, in Kigali, in Johannesburg. These people have come closer to our cities, in Nairobi. You might be moving and somebody just starts stabbing you. I think they have changed these tactics. So we must be vigilant ourselves as citizens of these countries in Africa. Together we shall one day wipe out all forms of terrorism that have actually widened the gaps or the gulf between the people, the religions, and the type of hatred that is coming out is not very, very good.
In the last 6 to 7 months, the war in Somalia has changed goalposts. The government of Somalia seems to have changed its modus operandi. Instead of supporting AMISOM and supporting the efforts of the other agencies and other countries that have gone in Somalia to support them, to help the pacification of Somalia, the return of Somalia to the world order. The government in Mogadishu has instead initiated a move towards fighting the same governments that went to Somalia to help them. A few weeks ago, the Kenyan government asked the international community to investigate the reports that were circulating in international media with concrete evidence that money was being channeled through so many sources, including those from Qatar, Turkey, and some other countries, Norway, and so on, that were trying to kill the peace that we are trying to build in Somalia. The Somalia crisis dates back in 1991 when Ziad Barre was toppled. The Americans came and did a half job, left it in our hands for us to solve. We have tried our level best. The nationals of Uganda, Burundi, Kenya, Djibouti, Ethiopia have all perished in Somalia. They have perished in the sense to bring up a better Somalia for the people of Somalia, the best generation that will come. But these efforts are being hampered by President Mohamed Farmajo, who himself has turned on AMISOM and turned on Kenyan troops and made them enemies. The shooting down of a plane yesterday, a Kenyan plane that was carrying medical equipment, is a climax of all the activities, underground activities that have been conducted, supplied, equipped, logistically by the government of Somalia. It is sad, therefore, for a government that we went to help, where we have lost human resources, material resources, we have lost very many people in our places, injured, killed because of the fight in Somalia. Ugandans and the Kenyans have paid a very high price for this type of liberation, to liberate Somalia from the hands of the terrorist organizations that are still in that country. It is surprising, therefore, to hear that the same government that we are helping has become a puppet government supplied by Qatar and Turkey, importing the Middle East type of operations into the region. This region goes on, and it is bringing quite a lot of difficulties for the people of the region. As I said, the shooting down of the plane that was carrying medical equipment to help the people of Somalia who are dying at huge numbers and are reported very badly by the government in Mogadishu is a sign that there is some conspiracy between the militants who are government sponsored with those who are guarding in Baridera. The situation remains tense. We therefore leave it to the international community, to the African Union, to peaceful well-wishers, to find out the link and the thread, the Qataris, the Turkish, the United Arab Emirates, the Norwegians, what role are they playing in destabilizing Somalia? We thank the troops on the ground, the Uganda People's Defense Forces, the Kenya Defense Forces in Kismayo, who have kept peace despite the provocations of the government in Mogadishu. We like to take this opportunity as a Pan-African organization and organizations in Africa to call upon President Faramijo to stop these war-like activities against the same people, allies who came to liberate Somalia from the hands of terrorist groups that keep on coming and multiplying in Somalia. This is the double-edged sword of the Somali government. They work both sides, they cut both sides. If we are wrong, the world will see. Thank you.
Viewers, those listening to this tape or this video, I want to bring to your attention that the politics of proxy wars in Africa is becoming real, and it has become a reality. I want to bring to this the attention of the African states that time and time again we have fallen victims of proxy wars. We fight wars that are not ours. We fall in conflicts that are not supposed to be, don't help Africa, and they don't help our countries at all. The proxy war that is in East and Central and the Horn of Africa has been ignited, supported, equipped by France. It has been very real that the French government, quietly through its company called Total Oil, has been searching for resources around the triangle of East and Central Africa and Great Lakes region and the Horn of Africa. The Lapset was one of them, which could have been a landmark project for the people of France. They withdrew from it. The Tanga to Mwanza, they made it, they withdrew from it. The search for oil and resources through Total Oil has brought us the dangers of a proxy war in the region. It is therefore very prudent for people of the region to understand the dynamics that we are going through. For example, in Rwanda and the Burundi conflict, there is a proxy war. We are fighting a proxy country. It has brought us to a war between the two countries, between Uganda and Rwanda and Burundi. There is a proxy war in Congo who is sponsoring a resurgence of rebels that are fighting President Tshisekedi because he was not supported by countries that we know very well. This type of strategy has happened in North Africa, where Libya has been reduced to rebels, where each faction, even the government supported by United Nations, is being bombarded by a rebel called Khalifa Haftar, who is funded by countries that we know. The question of Somalia and the Kenyan maritime presents a challenge, a testy case for Africa and East Africa to stand firm and denounce the actions of countries that bring proxy wars and proxy politics in our region. It is therefore my humble submission that for this conflict, for this to end, we must do enough publicity, advocacy around the area to tell and explain to the international community why this problem is going to create an imbalance in the peace in the region, and the regional peace will be affected. It is therefore my humble submission that as a Ugandan whose troops, brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers of other many millions Ugandans who are in Somalia, condemn any action by the Somali government to try to resolve issues that should have been resolved amicably as Africans within the African confines. I submit therefore that some of us will go a mile further to do now, from now onwards, to expose, to show the challenges of these countries that make us fight a proxy war in Africa. Thank you very much for listening. God bless you.
Anybody who has been in the military will understand that when at war, in war, with war, you don't court-martial your soldiers or officers while the war is on. You finish the war first and then investigate the officers or soldiers who might have misbehaved or neglected duty. This is the doctrine of the institution of war. Today, Kenya is within the war and at war with an invisible enemy called COVID-19. And we must support the efforts of the frontline officials. Then we put them on trial later if there are mistakes. Remember, the country is at the weakest link now, and we cannot afford to deflect the efforts of those soldiers on the front line of fighting COVID-19. Thank you very much, viewers. That is me. Good afternoon, viewers. Welcome to Punchline Africa Television, broadcasting all the way from the political command center of Punchline Political Command Center away miles from Nairobi. Away from Nairobi, miles. Today in the studio, Miriam is out. I am alone from the satellite right in the center of the world, wherever I am. Things change. COVID-19. Today's show is Diplomatic Leaks. Our show seeks to expose the difficulties of conquering terrorism in Africa and especially in Somalia. We are coming to the situation where we must speak it out. The money laundering, the changing of hands of money from Qatar to East African states, and the funding of Al-Shabaab and other organizations that have created chaos in Somalia. This evening, or this afternoon now, I want to table the evidence which shows that money from Qatar has arrived and has been used, and how the National Intelligence Service Agency of Somalia has been in touch, corroboration, funding, and exchanging views touching the security of AMSOM and the security of the Kenyan troops in Somalia. To begin with, I want to say I don't speak on behalf of the government of Somalia or of Kenya. Neither do I speak on behalf of the government of Somalia. I'm an independent person. We are an independent organization. We investigate through our networks in Europe, in the Gulf, in America, in Africa. We get facts. We don't bring lies. We have documents that can prove that money was sent, money is disbursed, money is given to one wing of Al-Shabaab that kills us East Africans. We have no regrets for saying what we are saying. We are trying to warn the people of Africa. We are trying to warn people. We have intercepted information, serious intercepted through our networks in Europe, of who is doing whatever it is doing. Whatever is happening in Somalia at the moment is not a miracle. It is a design by the Somali government itself to create an animosity, acrimony between the fighting forces that are pacifying Somalia. We have no regrets for the information we are going to launch, and here we go. We have a statement, written statement, details that show, it is here, it shows the infiltration of the Somali National Intelligence Service Agency through the support, supply, equipment to Al-Shabaab in Somalia. First, we shall read this statement so that you can follow one by one, point by point. We want to state that on behalf of Pan-African Forum Limited, UK Limited, United Kingdom Limited, I would like to issue the following investigative piece or report to the world on how Qatar and the Somalia governments are supporting terrorism in Somalia. To make it a point, we don't work for the government of Kenya. We are a Pan-African organization, neutral, and we expose anything that is wrong in Africa. In presenting this evidence, we want the African Union, the United Nations, the EU to investigate the matter further and stop the countries that are banning Somalia. One, the National Intelligence Service Agency and its operations into Al-Shabaab. In penetrating, the group has compromised, manipulated key sectors of the society in Somalia responsible for the daily operations of the government. In Somalia, as you know, the political presentation of the local, regional, and the federal levels are done through selection by clan leaders. As a terrorist group, it has been threatening leaders to select candidates who are friendly and accommodative to their ideology. Through this, the National Intelligence Service of Somalia has also managed to cow down very many agencies, very many leaders, eliminating those that they don't like not to take part in the politics of Somalia. Viewers, the report is long. 2, the intelligence and security sector infiltration. As the leadership of Somalia enjoys a cordial relationship with Fahad Yassin, Director General of NISA, and Abdallah Kulen, alias Giz Mahina, Assistant Director NISA, Fahad, a member of Al-Taid, Al-Harisamia, until 1997. He trained alongside Dahi Awais and Ahmed Abid Kondana, deceased as a leader of the Afghanistan and the Pakistan wing. In 1997, this gentleman who is heading the Somali intelligence traveled to Sana'a, Yemen, and enrolled for a degree in religious studies at Al-Hamen University. In 2006, he was appointed at the head of Al Jazeera Bureau for Somali Arabic Program at Qatar on Al Jazeera. Can the studio bring the picture now? Produce that picture so that when we reach there. From that period, 2012, he was also an undercover operative for Qatar spy agency covering Somalia and Eritrea. He was also a source for Ethiopia. In 2012, Qatar funded the candidate of Hassan Sheikh Mohammed, former president of Somalia, through Yassin. And in 2014, he was investigated by NISA over the connection with Al-Shabaab. And in 2015, he was appointed as a cabinet minister for port and maritime transport. This is the network which is bringing money undercover in Somalia. In 2016, the United Nations Somalia Eritrea Monitoring Group, SEMJ, was investigating relationship between Hassan Ghariye, current Prime Minister of Somalia, Al-Shabaab, while he was the coordinator of Norwegian Relief Agency in Kenya. That's the man who is causing all this trouble, the bad relationship. That's Ghariye. And we have the report, everything in black and white is here. He was a Norwegian Refugees Council Programs Director in Somalia. During investigations, it was established that Ghariye, a Norwegian national, had close links with Al-Shabaab leadership. He's the current Prime Minister of Somalia. In 2016, Yassin and Mohammed disagreed, and the former shifted Qatar's political sponsorship to Mohammed Farami Joe, president, the current one, of this place. It is here. We have been following the stories slowly, as it comes down to rain, and it's gonna rain. And it is President Farmajo of Somalia and the Prime Minister Haji both became partners in the government that is molesting, trying to infiltrate Al-Shabaab to kill us Kenyans and the Ugandans. Yassin has been holding hostage the two gentlemen in Somalia and the Somali state institutions with ultimate goal of establishing a radical state in Somalia and in the region. Qatar, which has now extended its wing in Mozambique. Mark you, the people fighting in Mozambique have a link with Qatar. He is the most influential person in Somalia, both in domestic and external affairs of Somalia. Farmajo is just a sitting duck, a lame duck waiting to be given instructions. We have also intercepted documents, telephone conversations on the day before the plane, and we shall cross over to Mogadishu this afternoon to be interviewed or to interview one of our MPs in Parliament who knows what happened. We are not joking anymore. Since his appointment in 2018, Mr. Yassin has dismantled NISA and embarked on recruiting politically inclined security intelligence personnel, Jashir Amin Siyasi, mainly from AIA, Al-Shabaab defectors and Hizbul Aslam. In May 2018, Yassin gave $1,800,000 transferred through this network to Abdurrahman Mohammed Wasame and Muhammad Karate, Jupiter leaders of Al-Shabaab. These are facts. Karate is also a major shareholder of Hamoud Telecom. Wow. You better hear this. This is very serious. The material that you have, it is corroborated from Europe. Well organized. Our investigators, we have them on tapes and transcripts. It is up to this hour that we understand the difficulties of why the Somali government is not playing the ball. Viewers, the report is long, but let me summarize it. Qatar and Djibouti, no wonder they hate some states. I'm not in for Kenya, I'm not in for Somalia. I am warning African Union, United Nations, European Union to start an investigation on this question of money laundering from Qatar, which is affecting Mozambique. Mr. Mandeira from Mozambique must be aware that money from Qatar is destabilizing the northern part of Mozambique with a new outfit of Al-Qaeda, a branch of Al-Shabaab that has gone into Mozambique. If you think you are sleeping in Mogadishu, Mr. Mandeira, there is trouble. And for us, our role in Africa is to talk. And we are journalists. We are not going to be threatened. We are investigative journalists. We have discovered the money. We have tabled the evidence. We want to table this evidence to the international community to tell the world, investigate this. Qatar and Djibouti have been mediating between SGS and Al-Shabaab with the silent support of Ethiopia and Eritrea. BAB. That is it. You better know that today. Some time back in this telegram, in this message, in this television, I told you when Americans fail to gazette, Americans fail to gazette Al-Shabaab as a terrorist, proscribe it as a terrorist organization. Believe me or not, do you know what? Do you know what? There were negotiations. The evidence that we have points to that. That's why Norway, Qatar, United Arab Emirates went to the extent of writing to the United Nations not to gazette Al-Shabaab as a terrorist group. It is that information that we have. Now we want to corroborate it. Al-Shabaab, Eritrea, Ethiopia and Eritrea for possible power security sharing deals that will see Al-Shabaab members being absorbed in the security agencies in Somalia. This is going back behind the back doors of the two countries, the main two countries that have supplied troops in Somalia. That is Uganda and Kenya. If you think this is a joke, you haven't seen yet. The Ethiopian leadership views Kenya as a regional dominance, as a threat to its national interest. Ethiopia intends to dominate the Horn of African regional integration so as to find opportunities for its exploring 100 million population, it's exploding 100 million population, while Eritrea is keen replacing Kenya in AMISOM to redeem its image for the removal on international sanctions of terrorism and the terrorists. Viewers, there you are. It will be published, and I believe the people, before the end of this show, my team would have published. We shall publish it so that people can have a look. If you have any questions, you can ask us. That evidence is available. More evidence appears for internal funding that goes to local experts to say what Al-Shabaab is benefiting. That I want to bring this point to the people of Africa. We have been fighting a war. We can't win this war. Why is it so? Because Al-Shabaab has been funded by the same people we are trying to pacify the country for. Because Qatar has infiltrated the same country that we want to pacify. Because the supply of money is coming from these same people given to our enemies who come to plot to come and kill us. If Kenyans don't speak now, if Ugandans don't speak now, if the region does not speak now, the war is expanding to Mozambique. Can anybody explain to me how the Al-Qaeda in Mogadishu, in Somalia, has reached Mozambique? You can tell by yourselves. Viewers, it is therefore very sad for the funding, taxation, collection of money, the downing down of the plane supportedly by where Somalia came out to say, I'm not a Kenyan spokesman, neither do I work for the government of Kenya. I work for Pan-African UK Limited, Pan-African Forum. It has struggled so many battles in the world. It has struggled to keep Africa on check. And I'm still speaking this from my observations, investigations with our network in Europe, in America, and in Mogadishu itself. We have MPs who have corroborated this evidence. We have evidence that Qatar is buying the government in Mogadishu. We have evidence that Qatar is paying for an acronym of the islands of oil for Somalia and pays the bills for Somalia. We have evidence that the links of terrorism in Mozambique is also linked to the terrorism that we have in the Red Sea enclave. We have evidence that money was transferred from one angle in Qatar, as you see from that photograph, and sent to Africa, East Africa. We have also a list of names of Kenyans who are involved in these terrorist organizations who clean the money and send it on behalf of NICE, National Intelligence Security Agency. We have evidence also of the same, and we must speak up. We are fed up. We have lost men and women from my country. I must defend the younger men who are dying on a daily basis. They are being killed while people are exchanging money to gain power in Mogadishu. That is why I want to make it very categorical that the evidence that we have got right now gives us the energy, the impetus to stand up, to be counted. The evidence that we have now gives us the way forward on how things have been working in Mogadishu. It is upon the people of Mogadishu, the government in Mogadishu, to explain itself to the United Nations, not to me. I am not a person employed by any of them. I'm not employed by Mozambique. I'm not employed by Kenya. I'm not employed by Somalia. I speak my mind. I don't speak on behalf of the government of Somalia. Neither do I speak on the behalf or under influence of the government of Kenya. I've tabled this report just as I used to table reports of ICC, just as I investigated the ICJ. I have also beginning on this long journey to expose the malaise that is caused by funding that is taking place between Qatar and the government agency of National Intelligence Service Organization, Agency of Somalia. That the head of that intelligence service is also a head of a Al-Qaeda format in Qatar. It is also evident that if we go on playing with this, we shall never win this war. Whether they kill us today or tomorrow, we must continue talking. But let people remember my words, that we have done our great job to bring out this report. Somalia should stop funding Al-Shabaab to kill other countries that are helping them. Thank you. Fred. Today marks a great day for me. For us in Pan-African Forum UK Limited, stand above the threats, intimidation, blackmailing that people receive so as not to speak about what is happening in Somalia. The matter of the Somali link or Somalia link with Qatar must be discussed openly by countries that are taking place part in Somalia. The pacification of Somalia, for Somalia to become a state again, there is a need for cooperation. The cooperation to bring about peace is more important than the cooperation of countries that are seeking minerals, diamonds, gold, oil, skins, animals, and the rest from Somalia. My organization does not have a share, neither is it seeking to get anything, but to have Somalia and to protect the Ugandan and the Kenyan troops, plus Burundian troops that have gone to do a good job in Somalia. Every time we hear reports of money laundering, some people think it is difficult to find out who has laundered which money, where and how. For us in Pan-African Forum UK Limited, we have networks that have exposed even the ICC before, and we have brought it to its knees for this type of money laundering. Qatar has become the main funder of terrorism in the world. We can now safely agree, and safely agree to the people, the countries, especially those countries like Saudi Arabia, that said Qatar is a terrorist organization. It's not a country. Qatar is funding terrorist activities, coming in as economic saviors of some countries in Africa, while they are sponsoring terror groups that are expanding on the coastal line of the Indian Ocean up to Mozambique. It is therefore my duty as an African and us as Africans to point out these mistakes such that the people can take these mistakes, correct them, and point out to Qatar to stop funding terror activities. Two, it is also very important for the people of Kenya to know that Al-Shabaab, Eritrea, Ethiopia are trading out a deal that will leave Kenya and Uganda in a mess. It is important that Farimajo should not lie to you that he is not having these deals or these negotiations are not taking place. We have evidence, concrete in black and white, of these meetings that are taking place on a daily basis in one of the capitals of the world called Doha and Asmara. These meetings have been taking place, and they are taking place, and that is why the United Nations Security Council failed to condemn Al-Shabaab as a terrorist group. One would wonder, why condemn the Taliban? Why condemn Boko Haram? But he failed to condemn Al-Shabaab, which has killed us Kenyans, killed us Ugandans, killed Somalis in hundreds and hundreds. Why? 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 The question lies with bad politics of international relations, with bad politics of countries like Qatar that work as satellite states of countries in Europe, namely France and the United States of America. When the countries in the Middle East cried about Qatar's terrorism expansion policy, America came to defend Qatar. But now in East Africa, we can't keep quiet because we have our troops on the ground, in the ground, down in Somalia. It is high time, therefore, the countries in East Africa engaged in the Somali war to rethink their policy. Is it worth it? Do we leave it to go? How long will it take? Can we work with a government of this nature? Can a government of Farimajo guarantee our peace? The shooting down of a plane commandeered by Ethiopians who are guarding the ground at the flower, who were told the plane had a humanitarian agency is very dangerous. I will not keep quiet. There was nobody, no accident. The shooting of the plane was well manned, well organized to spark a fight between Kenya and Ethiopia. It is the Ethiopian troops on the ground who shot the plane. Let's not muck around. Let's not talk this way. With the support of Mujahideen that are supported by the government, National Intelligence Service Agency of Yassin, who is the head of the command from the intercepted telephone calls that he made minutes before that plane was brought down. We want to tell the world that never, whether you do whatever diplomacy, there is no diplomacy here. The truth must prevail. Ethiopia should stop engaging itself in activities that are going to create hegemony of the what's hegemony in the region. It is very unbelievable that Ethiopian troops guarding the airport in Baladeo were not aware at the traffic control that the plane was coming to land. Viewers, don't listen to what the National Intelligence System of Somalia pumps out. It pumps garbage. It does different things. If that meeting between Eritrea, Somalia, Qatar, Norway, facilitated between Al-Shabaab and those countries, if it is not taking place in Doha, say that Somali government come out to say no. Yes, then we can bring the ministers from the hotel and the other places where they are taking these meetings. We want to thank you that as we continue to guard, our soldiers continue to guard and die on behalf of Somalia. Mr. Farimajo is planning another route of taking Somalia, not with us, but with them. We want to thank you to free Somalia. We want to thank you to help. We want UN to come up to investigate, the AU to investigate, the EU to investigate these claims. We want Norway to be sanctioned for involvement in arranging these meetings with terrorists, at the same time coming to kill us. We want Hassan Harriet to say what he has done while he was in Kenya. We want those Kenyans to come up and say, stop cleaning the money that is going. You are noted. Time is going to come when we shall reveal who is who, where you are, what you have done. We are not worried. Nobody should deceive the government of Kenya that that plane came down by accident. The plane was hit by Ethiopian troops on the ground who were corroborating with Nisa, whose head is also Al-Qaeda. It is very sad for our people in Africa to support Al-Qaeda actively in government. Thank you very much. I want to take this opportunity, Fred, take it from there. I want to take this opportunity to thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much. I've released my document. It is going to be a full-fledged. These are documents that I have got. I'm going to publish it. If Somali government finds that allegations that are here, if they call this silly allegations, let them issue a statement to tell us if that money was never transferred. Then we can go before the international tribunal that UN can set up to prove to that tribunal that that money has been laundered and it is the money that is killing us in East and Central Africa, and now added Mozambique, where Qatar is playing a role in delivering terrorists in that country of Mozambique. Thank you very much. God bless all of you. God bless Africa. God bless the Pearl of Africa. God bless Kenya. Keep our troops in Kismayo. Give them strength. Our troops in Mogadishu. Give them strength. We shall, tomorrow or days to come, talk to the owner of the plane that was brought down. We are going to expose all this. We have evidence. It's not local. It is inside. We know what happens. And we know what is taking place. Farimajo, Hassan Harriet have become axes of evil. Thank you.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.